football here today on Fox. The Giants take the field, and it's a battle in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys at 1-7, the New York Giants 6-2. And now welcome to the broadcast with everybody. I'm Joe, Troy, and Pam. Coming up, it's a study in opposites, no doubt. One team just fired their head coach. The other team, the Giants, they have won 5 straight. They have the #1 defense in the NFL. They can run it. They can throw it. Eli Manning's playing at a new level, even though he's a Super Bowl champion quarterback. And here's one to my left, Troy Aikman. And good luck, Dallas Cowboys, and good luck, Jason Garrett, 1-7 and on the road with a backup quarterback today.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect, and I'm not sure they know what to expect. You're talking about Jason Garrett taking over a 1-7 locker room, trying to change the culture in what virtually is 3 days. Not easy to do. What I do know is this: as someone who has known Jason Garrett as long as I have, he's been preparing for this moment since he was still playing in the National Football League. He'll be ready. The question is, will his team be ready?
We are about to find out the answer to that question here in a moment. We go down to the field for more on the field on the Dallas sideline. Here's Pam Oliver.
Well, that's right, Joe. The Cowboys team meeting this morning. Jason Garrett delivered a very inspirational and methodical speech to the team. Terrence Newman said that the Cowboys are completely re-energized. Garrett's methods has certainly gotten the team's attention. In fact, one player told me they'd be very surprised if the team came out and laid another egg. Back to you.
Well, they have laid 7 of them for the most part. 1-7, and so Wade Phillips is gone and Jason Garrett is in. And here are the starting points. New energy. They better find some quick. And for the Giants, offensively, they can do it all. And defensively, trying to control Des Bryant, who is the rookie and the playmaker now for the Dallas Cowboys. We welcome in a new audience as Beeler kicks it away. Giants will start with a football, and it's Will Blackman. Second week active for the Giants with the return, and Blackman crossed the 20, got to the 21, and that's it. If you're just joining us, the storyline pretty simple. You've got the Giants, who are 6-2. They've won 5 straight, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, 1-7. They fired their head coach Wade Phillips on Monday, and now Jason Garrett takes over. And Troy, here's the question mark. And what has always been a constant for the Giants, the offensive line, they've had to reshuffle it again.
Well, they have, and I think you look back to last week against the Seattle Seahawks and the decision to put Sean Andrews in at left tackle and Rich Seibert at the center position, all of those things helping them out as they come into this game against Dallas.
Start with a throw, and it's Manningham on the edge, and a good play is made by Terrence Newman, a loss of 2. Quarterbacks who have been getting beaten a lot.
Well, they have, especially here over the last 3 games. New defensive coordinator Paul Pasqualoni, talking with him yesterday, he said, we've exposed our corners too often in man coverage. We have got to allow them to take some breaks from time to time, expect some safety help over the top, more than they have seen in recent weeks.
Just got it away on 2nd down and 12. Manning throws, and the pass caught by Hakeem Nicks. 21 yards. Newman on the coverage, and a 1st down for the Giants.
Well, they don't give Newman any help here. It's man-to-man coverage, Nicks against Newman, and the back shoulder fade that we see Eli Manning throw so effectively, and it's especially good to Hakeem Nicks. He's a big physical receiver, and you see Terrence Newman now hobbling off. But Hakeem Nicks is a mismatch on that type of throw because he's such a big body guy.
Now it's Scandrick in the lineup replacing Terrence Newman. 1st down Giants, a toss to Bradshaw to his left, and Bradshaw got back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. The Giants are playing without Steve Smith, who was one of the better slot receivers in the NFL. That's a big weapon not there for Eli Manning. He's got a partially torn pec, and that means that Ramses Barton will have to step up. But the numbers for Eli Manning, he's been getting better and better as this season's gone on.
Well, and he's been absolutely on fire here over the last 3 weeks. Good numbers for the entire season, but just the last 3 weeks alone, 9 touchdown passes to only 3 interceptions.
On 2nd down, passes out of the reach of Manningham.
And a 3rd and long coming up.
Yeah, just a miscommunication there with Mario Manningham and Eli Manning, and you talked about it a moment ago, Joe, with Steve Smith out of the lineup. You know, the Cowboys have got to be pretty happy about that, because Steve Smith has been a Cowboy killer since he came into the league. He's put up big numbers, over 100 yards receiving in the first matchup, and he's worked the middle of the field very well against this Cowboys secondary.
Smith with 25 catches in his last 3 games against Dallas. 3rd and 10. And there was movement prior to the snap. It'll be 3rd and 15.
False start. Number 84, offense. 5-yard penalty. They're down.
They get Duke Calhoun, who's a rookie, and stands to reason he'll get more action with Steve Smith not available. They take Calhoun out. That won't make Tom Coughlin happy. And right now, this is a team that's playing with 5 receivers with Smith out.
Yeah, and I halfway expected to see more 2 tight end packages potentially, but Tom Coughlin said, no, we're going to run our offense. We're going to run with 3 wide receivers, even though we're going to be depending on some younger players in that slot position.
Terrence Newman still out defensively for Dallas. Pass underneath the boss. He's got a long way to go. And it'll be 4th down. First guy there was Scandrick, a gain of 8. And for Dallas's defense, they gave up the 1 first down and now shut it down, as the punter Matt Dodge will come on for New York.
Well, and Dallas has got to feel pretty good about that possession right there. I mean, for a defense that has just been shredded here over the last several weeks, to come out against an offense that has been playing as well as the New York Giants have been, and to just give up the 1 first down, awfully impressive.
Dodge hits it. It's a beauty. Over the head of Bryant, and it will head into the end zone. Looked like it was going to check up. But now Dallas, with their new head coach, will start at the 20. No score.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Terrence Newman getting worked on the sideline as they take a look at his left ankle. Hurt in the opening series, and now it's Dallas with Kitna quarterback. Out of the backfield, it's Felix Jones. Room to run, and a good start for the Dallas offense. First play and a first down. Bullock on the stop. Take a look at this offense with the rotation they have at running back. Troy, this is simply a team that has not proven that they can run the ball at all.
No, and I think there was some speculation coming into this game that they would try to pound the New York Giants, and they still certainly could, but they open up the first play of the game with a swing pass to Felix Jones.
There's Kitna, who's taken over for Tony Romo, who was knocked out by Michael Boley and the Giants defense 3 weeks ago. Handoff is to Barber. He's easy to spot, and Marion Barber picks up 2. Antrell Roll made the stop, and that's kind of the key in it, Troy, with this defense for the Giants. When you say roll, you think about these 3 safeties, and they've got a nice mix going.
Well, I like Antrell Roll. You're talking about a guy who I believe was the 8th overall pick when he came into the league for the Arizona Cardinals as a cover corner. He made the transition 3 years ago to safety, and now here he is, one of the most physical players for this New York Giants defense, leading the team in tackles.
2nd down and 8. Handoff to Barber. Hits the hole hard, carries a tackler with him. That was Goff, and a gain of 5. Phillips, one of the other safeties, up to make the initial hit. There's Jonathan Goff, who is taken over in the middle. Antonio Pierce is gone, and Goff has stepped in, and that's kicked Bullock to the outside. 3rd and 3. On the ground with Barber. Good support for the Giants, and Barber leaps. They're going to give him a spot short of the first down. Marion Barber did all he could, but the head linesman is going to mark him down about a yard shy of a first down.
Well, and this could be head coach Jason Garrett's first major decision to make, whether or not he wants to challenge this. You know, coming into this game, you think back to the last time these two teams met. Dallas was 0 for 10 on third down. And now they're 0 for 11 because there's not going to be a challenge.
This is the top third down defense in the NFL, and Garrett will not challenge the play. McBride hits it. Good high hanging punt. Blackman will let it go past him and into the end zone. So now the Giants have it at the 20. No score early in Jersey.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Let's go back and take a look at the end of that Marion Barber carry when he tried to leap for the first down.
Yeah, Joe, and I think that had Marion Barber have had the ball in his left arm, you know, he might have been able to challenge that and pick up that first down, but because it was in his right arm, it's where it crosses the sideline as to where then the ball is spotted.
Manning with a good pocket in front of him, steps up and throws, completes to Nix. Working on Mike Jenkins. Michael Jenkins, who has had an interesting week after pulling up on a tackle last week at Green Bay.
Well, Eli Manning, he gets this kind of protection throughout this game. It's going to be a long afternoon for this defensive secondary for the Dallas Cowboys, because for the second week in a row, you know, Eli Manning has plenty of time in the pocket. We had the game last week in Seattle, Joe. I'm not sure Eli Manning got touched one time, and he shredded them.
And again, this is a different look to the offensive line for the Giants as Bradshaw carries it, and Ahmad takes it to the 45. Picked up 2.
How about when we visited with Ahmad Bradshaw the other day, and you know, for those that don't really get a chance to see Ahmad Bradshaw, not a very big individual, in fact very small by any standard, and you know, I was asking him how his body was feeling because he's the featured guy this year. He's getting more carries than he's really had at any point in his career, and he said he's sore right up until game time, and it's not until the adrenaline kicks in that he really forgets about the soreness and just goes out and plays. Now this guy's he's as tough as they come.
It's 2nd and 8. They play action to Bradshaw, and a pass is fired to Nix for a first down. Eli shows his fastball and completes it for 14 yards.
Well, and this is what I was talking about with Hakeem Nicks, because he doesn't typically get a lot of separation, but when he's challenged, you see that's good coverage right there by Orlando Scandrick, but Hakeem Nicks is very physical at the point of the catch.
Kevin Booth is down. Training staff taking a look at him. He was just activated. We'll take a break.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by new Windows Phone. It's time for a phone to save us from our phones. By Avatar Extended Collector's Edition on Blu-ray and DVD Tuesday. And by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
Kevin Booth, who tore his pec lifting weights during the spring and was just activated off the physically unable to perform list, he got up and walked off. Didn't look like he was in bad shape. Mitch Petrus takes over at guard as the depth of this offensive line continues to get tested. Here's Bradshaw. Sneaks his way for 5 yards behind all those big bodies.
And that injury to Kevin Booth, even though this is his first action and he just came off the PUP list a few weeks ago, you know, putting Mitch Petrus in, the reason they didn't do that to start the game was because of Sean Andrews starting at left tackle. He's playing a new position. They didn't want to then put another young guy next to him, and they thought there'd be more stability with more of a veteran player in Kevin Booth, but now they're back to where they are that they were trying to avoid at the start of the week.
Bradshaw takes it down inside the 35, picks up 3. Give you a look at all of the inactives, and for the Giants, 2 big pieces are not there. There's Sean O'Hara, who was out with a mild Liz Frank sprain in his right foot. He missed 3 games earlier with a sprained left ankle. Dave Deal, who had 127 consecutive starts right there coming into today. That streak is over, and they don't know when he's coming back. He's got a partially torn hamstring. It's 3rd and 2. Both Jacobs and Bradshaw in the backfield, and Bradshaw gets it. Good toss from Manning, and Ahmad Bradshaw is down to the 22. A gain of 11 on 3rd and 2.
Well, that was a design screen. You know, they're just going to swing out Ahmad Bradshaw. They got right guard Chris Snee, and then the center, Rich Seibert, that get out in front. And once you get all the defensive players in overflowing, you're able to get Ahmad Bradshaw on the cutback. And good job here of Ahmad Bradshaw protecting the football. He's had a problem this year, and in other years hanging on to the ball and visiting with him. I asked him if Tom Coughlin ever has anything to say to him when he comes off after a fumble, and to my surprise, he said no, he never does.
Coughlin just says other people go yell at him. Here's Manningham making the catch, stays on his feet, and he will end up losing yardage on the play. McCann made the tackle, a loss of 5, and here's a game break with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the New York Jets are in overtime for the 2nd straight week, this time at Cleveland after missing a field goal attempt. This is basically a glorified punt. It's an interception thrown by Mark Sanchez. Bottom line, a minute and a half to go. Cleveland with the ball inside their own 10, trying to avoid the first time in the NFL in 2 years. Joe, Troy, Pam.
I wonder if Donovan McNabb is watching that game in preparation for his action later against Philadelphia. You can have a tie in the NFL.
You know, he's had a tough enough go in the last couple of
whatever. Here's Bradshaw taking it down to the 25, maybe inches inside, a gain of 3. About the last 5 games for Tom Coughlin's crew, and I think it's to his credit. You know, they played an undermanned Seattle team last week. He has the ability of keeping his team up, and whatever the message is every week, it's delivered. These guys get it, and they carry out their plan.
I think what Tom Coughlin has been doing them understand that, hey, these are the ways that we're going to do things, and every time these players walk into the building, they know what to expect from their head coach.
They're down in 12, end zone. Jenkins incomplete. Mike Jenkins almost came away with his 2nd pick of the year.
He's just not able to get that foot down. Probably would be a good week for Michael Jenkins to show up and have a big game.
Why
he's got possession there, and then he gets his left foot down, but the right one's out of bounds.
Why does Troy say that? Well, Mike Jenkins last week, by his own admission, gave up on a play, pulled away from a hit on James Jones in the 3rd quarter in that blowout loss at Green Bay. We were here a couple of years ago when, as a rookie, he pulled off a tackle. Tynes delivers the first points of the day, 43 yards, and the Giants strike first. 3-0 New York. There's the scoring drive as Lawrence Tynes caps it with the field goal. Eli Manning, Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator, looking at the pictures on the sideline, and now the Cowboys will get it again. First week under new head coach Jason Garrett. First week under new defensive coordinator Paul Pasqualoni. And Tynes kicks it off. McCann on the return. Former star at SMU. He's given a lift to the kick return unit for the Cowboys. That one good for 21. Here comes Kitna with the Cowboys down 3. There are some of the numbers for Jason Garrett, who was a backup quarterback with the Dallas Cowboys from 93 to 99 for the guy to my right, Troy Aikman, then was here with the Giants 2000 through 2003. After coaching with the Dolphins, he's been the the Dallas offensive coordinator since 07. And now he takes over for Wade Phillips, fired on Monday. On first down, a throw over the middle, Felix Jones. First down, Dallas. 13 yards. Goff on the stop for the Giants.
Ernie Accorsi, the former general manager who was here while Jason played for the Giants for 4 years, said this week that Jason Garrett could have gone on to be anything that he wanted to be, and I couldn't agree more. In fact, I think he could run for president if he had wanted to. I mean, he's that type of individual, and I'm not so sure that president might not be an easier job. At least you get 4 years. I mean, he's only getting 8 weeks on this job, right? First down, Dallas.
Kidna deep in stride, and now a catch and a tumble by Des Bryant. And the first real big play of this game, it belongs to the rookie Des Bryant, 45 yards.
We're going to see Des Bryant inside release, but then he gets back out towards the sideline. John Kidna does a good job of laying it out and giving Des Bryant an opportunity to go get that ball. We talked to Perry Fuel, the defensive coordinator, and he said the one guy that we have to control is Des Bryant. He was scared to death of him, probably because in that game in Dallas, Des Bryant was the only reason that game was even close.
Felix Jones, a tailback for the end zone, and there he is again. Des Bryant, incomplete. And Bryant wants the sideline to challenge it. There was a juggle, a near catch, and let's take a look. What an effort. Haven't seen anything there to say incomplete. Let's see.
Yeah, I think the fact that they ruled it an incompletion is why it probably won't be overturned. It looked to me like he probably did get his right forearm under the ball, but I don't think there's enough there to overturn it, but Jason Garrett's going to find out.
Garrett shows off his throwing arm. Longtime backup who was 6-3.
Dallas challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
Garrett, who was 6-3, replacing Aikman as a starter with the Cowboys. Bryant looked like he had the arm under it to me. We'll get the call when we come back. Jason Garrett smiling on the right. He may be 1 for 1 challenging a call in the NFL as a head coach. It looks like Bryant has his right arm under the ball, and the tip of the ball never does come down on the ground, and he secures the catch.
Well, and there's no question that Des Bryant felt that he had caught it by the way he got up after he saw that it was ruled incomplete.
Des Bryant's pleading with Garrett to throw the flag. He did, and we're just waiting on the call from Bill Levy.
And how about Des Bryant? I mean, this guy has had one heck of a rookie season. I mean, just amazing player. I mean, when you look at the Cowboys and some of the poor performances that have taken place by individuals, he's been the one constant. He shows up each and every week, whether it's in the special teams, returns. He's had a couple of punts already returned for touchdowns, one of which was against the Giants in their first meeting, and he plays hard each and every week.
It would be his 7th touchdown overall, 5th touchdown catch. The previous play was a career-long 45-yard reception for Des Bryant, and there is the wide-eyed Jason Garrett, who throws his first challenge flag.
You know, he does still have it. You see the delivery there, and he held it. You mentioned earlier about Jason smiling. You will see Jason Garrett smile a lot. That's kind of what he does.
Here it is.
After reviewing the play, the receiver had control in the air. When he hit the ground, he maintained control. It is a touchdown. Dallas will not be charged a timeout.
And Jason Garrett has watched his offense take it down the field and score a touchdown for Des Bryant. Touchdown reception number 5, and he gets better by the week. And Troy, as you said, I mean, he was the one guy that showed up last week at Green Bay with a career-high 9 catches, a career-high 86 yards, and the number 1 threat to this Giants defense as Beeler misses the extra point. Garrett's not smiling now as a point is left out there. Cofield got some push in the middle. Did he get a piece of it, or was it just a straight miss?
No, there was a hand that got on it, Joe.
Right there, yep. Cofield. So Barry Cofield ticked it on its way past the line of scrimmage, and it's a 6-3 game. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
In overtime against Cleveland, the Jets get the ball back with 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Mark Sanchez hooks up with Santonio Holmes for the game winner. Jets win in OT for the 2nd week in a row, this time at Cleveland, 26-20 the final. Joe, Troy, Pat.
So Rex beats Rob. as the Twins match wits in Cleveland, and a win for the Jets on the road, and Des Bryant has given the Dallas Cowboys a lead. It's worth going back and talking about Garrett, because Garrett is a guy who passed on opportunities in 08 with Atlanta, with Baltimore. He came very close to getting the Rams head coaching job that eventually went to Steve Spagnuolo. Now he's in a position where he gets a chance, but the deck is really stacked against him. On the return, Blackmon across the 25. And as we welcome you inside our broadcast booth, I think that's really the situation that Garrett's in. Yeah, you get your chance to be the head coach, but now what do you do with it? And if it doesn't go well, how far does it set you back?
Well, and I'd wondered if even Jason Garrett had a choice in this matter. He said there was no choice, at least on his part. He was taking this job. It's a job that, you know, he's obviously thrilled to have, and he's going to make the best of it. Things changed this week in Dallas. He put them in full pads on Wednesday. He texted the players, told them that they were going to be at a team meeting early. He locked the door down right when the meeting started, and a lot of things changed from what they had been in previous weeks.
Here's Brandon Jacobs, his first carry, a gain of 2. Brady James on the stop.
You know, it was talked about on the pregame show, and I guess a lot of the things that Jason Garrett implemented this week in Dallas, you kind of scratch your head and you say, well, why weren't they doing those things before? You mean you have to show up on time to meetings? You mean you have to hustle from one drill to the next? I mean, it was more of an indictment on the way things were being done as opposed to how they're going to be done moving forward.
It's 2nd down and 8 for the Giants, who trail by 3 and who lead the NFC East on a 5-game win streak. Manning throws, sideline Manningham, and it's over his head. Scandrick out there on coverage. It looks like the Cowboys have lost Terrence Newman. He is in the locker room getting x-rays on his left ankle. They're already thin at that position. They have 3 active corners. That's the rookie McCann.
Yeah, thin in the secondary now to go along with being awfully thin along that defensive front.
Marcus Spears put on IR with a torn left calf. Hatcher is inactive. Lissimore's out with a high ankle sprain. It's 3rd down and 8. Manning throws. Kevin Moss. And Moss is forced out of bounds short of the first down by Brady James.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen now the last couple of times on 3rd down for the New York Giants. They haven't been able to get the ball down the field. They've been in 3rd and long, which has been the biggest problem because they haven't been very good on 1st and 2nd downs. They've had to come underneath to Kevin Boss, and both times the Cowboys have come up and put hits on him before he's able to get the yardage.
Dallas Cowboys are showing life here early. And if they quit last week at Green Bay or quit the week before, they come here to play. Awful punt by Dodge. Matt Dodge hit it off the side of his foot.
I think part of that, Joe, is he's so worried about kicking the ball to Des Bryant that he's trying to change it up a little bit, and you know that can pose some problems for a young punter.
Just a 31-yard punt by Dodge. Stats haven't been bad for Matt Dodge. Problem is he's had a tough time catching snaps, and this time he hit it off the instep, the inside of his right foot. It was just a 31-yard punt. So good field position for Dallas, up by 3. Toss to Miles Austin, coming underneath, and well played. Antrell Roll, no gain.
It's really a nice job by Antrell Roll. I was talking about him earlier in this game, leading the team in tackles, and he fills that gap very well. He stayed home, didn't buy into the play action in the backfield, and came up and made a nice play in the open field on Miles Austin.
Antrell Roll was very critical of his teammates after a 38-14 loss at Indianapolis. It carried over the next week. A 29-10 loss at home against Tennessee. He questioned the effort. His team has picked it up, and now they've won 5 straight. Here's Felix Jones. Big run. Felix Jones has a first down for Dallas. Picked up 12. Terrell Thomas on the stop. And Tuck is slow to get up. Next week, Fox NFL Sunday, Packers, Vikings, Redskins, Titans, Lions, Cowboys, or Cardinals, Chiefs. Late game is the Seahawks and Saints, the Falcons and Rams, Bucks and 49ers. It's all next week starting at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Under a minute to go, opening quarter here in the new Meadowlands Stadium. And on first down, Miles Austin, what a throw from Kitna. And Austin is down inside the 10, first and goal. 44 yards from John Kitna.
Well, you're going to see the inside release here by Witten. That ties up the safety here. And so it's one-on-one on the outside. And you're going to see the open field there down the middle. And just a perfectly thrown ball there by John Kitna.
The Cowboys, if they wish, could let the clock expire on the first quarter, but they're going to run another play. First and goal.
That's that route combination against the coverage that the Giants were running, and it worked beautifully.
Handoff to Felix Jones, who's going to be marked down short of the end zone. His knee was down, and they're going to mark him near the 1. And it will be second and goal from the 1 when we start the second quarter. 6-3 Dallas after 1. The NFL on Fox will continue after this from your local Fox station. Dallas on top, and they have a second and goal at the 1. It was the forearm of Felix Jones that was down before he stretched out and crossed into the end zone. Barber in the backfield. They don't give it to him. Kitna looking for help. Throws, and the pass is caught for the touchdown by Gronkowski. And we'll need another look at this, as the initial ruling is touchdown Dallas.
Well, it's just Gronkowski keeping a play alive, and then John Kitna throwing it to him. You see that he had caught it, but the ball did hit the ground. And I'm not so sure that that's a touchdown.
I agree. That ball moved.
Yeah, it's almost simultaneous at the time that he's making the catch and the ball then hitting the ground. And yeah, I agree, Joe. It looks to me like that's what allowed him then to secure the ball, and a good call there by the officials correcting it.
So one official came in and overruled, and while the Dallas offense left the field, now they're back on, so no challenge necessary. They corrected on the field, and it's third and goal from the 1. Des Bryant at the top. Kitna falls down. And Kitna and Barber have had a couple of issues with goal to go near the end zone. A loss of 3.
Yeah, well, you're going to see right here. Watch the right foot of John Kitna. He gets stepped on by Andre Gerard, and the Cowboys a couple of games ago had problems down here with something very similar when Kitna ran in to the tailback. This time he's not even able to come back and make the handoff. You know, that happens a lot of times for quarterbacks. You got to be real careful as to how close you get your feet underneath those linemen, because they can take a step back and step on you the way he did.
Just getting it inside the right upright. 22-yard field goal by Beeler. Beeler, 9-3.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, the Now Network, by GMC, the official vehicle of the NFL, and by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did.
Tough to tell so far which team's on the 5-game winning streak and which team has lost 5 in a row and just fired their head coach. The Cowboys have come out ready to play. They lead by 6 thanks to a missed extra point. Beeler will kick it away.
Well, that was a big stop by the Giants, keeping Dallas out of the end zone and only giving up a field goal.
Bill Blackman waits for it, and this one is headed out of bounds. So Beeler's finally getting a chance to kick field goals. He was the kickoff specialist last year, and Joe DeCamillis, who's the special teams coordinator for Dallas, can't like that. Earlier today in the the stadium parking lot was the taste of the NFL Battle of the Gridiron Grillers. The competition featured chefs from the New York and Dallas-Fort Worth areas. Proceeds benefit Kicking Hunger in America. It's the 20th anniversary and they've raised over $10 million. If you want more information, go to www.tasteofthenfl.com.
Yeah, Kent Rathbun, he brought a smorgasbord of food up here for us at halftime,
including rattlesnake something.
Yeah, I've not had that before.
Rattlesnake sausage, that's what it is. Here's Bradshaw. Hit early, got around that hit in game 3.
You know, I think that looking at the New York Giants offensively this year and the job that Kevin Gilbride has done, and really not just this year, but ever since he took over as offensive coordinator, and he's obviously got a lot of weapons as we've got a yellow flag being thrown here on the field.
And it was just thrown. Maybe too many guys in the huddle. I don't think it's left over from the previous play.
No, they threw it late after everybody was going back to the huddle.
They're asking Garrett whether he wants to accept it or not. It's against the Giants.
Illegal formation. Number 65 was on the end of the line and did not report as eligible. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
So that's a problem. It was on the previous play. And now Tom Coughlin's hot. But I guess the officials got together and asked one another, hey, did 65 report? And the answer was no.
Yeah, well, Tom Coughlin, he's yelling at the officials. He's not yelling at the Giants huddle. And it's obvious to him that he did in fact report.
That's Will Beatty, who broke his foot early in the year, and the Giants for a while contemplated putting Beatty on IR. They kept him on the roster and cut Brian Keel, who's now a starting linebacker for St. Louis. They're going to need some of that depth on the offensive line. It's 1st and 15 now, and Bradshaw drops it. Ahmad Bradshaw, who's number 3 in the NFC with over 900 yards from scrimmage, had it dropped right into his stomach, and then he put it on the ground. 2nd and 15.
Yeah, they've just come out of the gates awfully slow in this game offensively because they've been a juggernaut offensively throughout this season. Think back to last week, Joe. They fumbled the first possession and then they went off and rattled 5 straight touchdowns and 30 first downs in that game against Seattle. Now, Seattle doesn't have the talent that Dallas has, but they have not come into this game playing real efficiently.
Here's Bradshaw. Good play made on the edge by Spencer, and Bradshaw turned it into something positive, gain 4.
Yeah, we've seen him now the last few times he's had the ball. He's had contact in the backfield, and he's done just about everything he can to turn it into a positive play. And, you know, once again, the Giants here are faced with a 3rd and long.
A flat start for the Giants, who have 3rd and 11. A ton of movement up front defensively for Dallas prior to the snap. Here's Bradshaw underneath. Knocked down at the marker. 1st down, Giants. McCann on the tackle.
Looked like Akeem Nicks just does a good job of at least picking off one, and then it was 2 guys there to try to make the play on Ahmad Bradshaw before he picks up the 1st down. And Ahmad Bradshaw probably should have been stopped before he made it to the 1st down marker, but just a good job of individual running right there on his part to pick it up.
Nicks with the block on Brady James. 11.5 yards on 3rd and 11. Down by 6. Manning steps up, hits Bradshaw, and Ahmad carries a tackler inside the 45 to the 43. Gain of 6.
This is something that we saw from Eli Manning last week against Seattle, just being very patient, and he's had to be patient again in this game. You know, so many times we've seen him already having to come down underneath to his backs, check it down, and just try to get as much of it as he can.
They're the offensive leaders for the Giants. On 2nd down, it's Bradshaw again. And the ball comes out. A scramble for the football, and it's a first down Giants as it's recovered by New York. Ahmad Bradshaw with his 5th fumble. This one turns into a first down.
And look who it is that comes in and makes the tackle and knocks it loose. Mike Jenkins. He turned one of those down last week, as we saw against the Green Bay Packers, but the helmet right there on the ball for Ahmad Bradshaw, and they're fortunate to get that one back.
That's Duke Calhoun, it looks like, the rookie, and it was. He got back on top of the football, and Bradshaw, who has been working hard on this drive, now takes a seat. After his 5th fumble of the year, first down New York.
And I didn't see Coughlin say anything to him.
Play clock winding down, and the pass is out of the reach of Nix.
You know, I was going into earlier before that flag was thrown a while back on Kevin Gilbride and the job that he has done. The thing about this New York Giants offense is, you know, when you talk about balance, and every offensive coordinator wants to be balanced, they want the ability to run the ball against 7-man fronts and then throw the ball versus 8-man fronts. Not many teams can really do that. The Giants are one of them. They throw the ball very well, second in the NFL in terms of big plays down the field as well. And all 3 of their running backs averaging over 5 yards a carry.
Little pump fake, and the pass caught by Jacobs, who's brought down from behind. Play was made by Victor Butler. Victor Butler, who is in his 2nd year out of Oregon State, gets in there and makes a play, a gain of only 1.
Yeah, and Paul Pasqualoni, you got to remember, when Wade Phillips was fired, he was the defensive coordinator. Paul Pasqualoni, he was the defensive line coach. He takes over that role. He came to Dallas with Bill Parcells, and then when Parcells went to Miami and Tony Sperano, they hired Pasqualoni to be the defensive coordinator. He was there for 2 years, got fired a year ago right before the playoffs. He was out of work about 20 minutes before the Cowboys found out about it, and Jerry hired him, and everybody I have talked to is very impressed with him.
Pass is caught. That's Barden. And on 3rd and 9, a completion of 27 yards for Eli Manning.
Well, they knew coming into the game that Ramses Barden was going to get an opportunity because of Steve Smith. He's 6'6", not overly fast, but he runs a good route. He got pressure up on Michael Jenkins. He snaps it to the inside, and just a good job. And, of course, good protection by the New York Giants. If you're going to be able to do that, you've got to control DeMarcus Ware, and they've done that in this game.
26-yard completion. That's the long of the year for Barden, who now has caught 3. Had a big one at Dallas 3 weeks ago. Bradshaw back in the lineup, fighting his way near the 1. They're going to mark his forward progress stopped at the 2, but I'm sure Tom Coughlin will say I can get mad at him for the fumbles, but here's a little guy who's dragging 6 people with him.
Well, let me just tell you, he's one of these guys that I would have loved to have played with as a player. I mean, he is tough as nails. He shows up every week. The fumbles, yeah, you deal with those types of things because you know this guy's going to produce more times than not.
Now Mike Jenkins is down for the Cowboys. They look at him. We'll take a break. Mike Jenkins is slow to get off the field. You see at the end of the play right there, he gets hit by Bear Pasco, number 86. That's Jenkins with his head snapping back, able to get up and walk off. They're already without Newman in the lineup, and now Jenkins, who was a Pro Bowler last year, he heads off. And the only corners left active are Scandrick and McCann.
Yeah, you think about it, even when they had their starting cornerbacks this season, they've been the worst defensive secondary in all of football, giving up touchdowns and not getting interceptions. Now they got their 2 starters out of the lineup.
2nd and goal for the Giants. And it looked like Will Beatty, who was an eligible receiver, moved early, and that play never happened.
False start. Number 65, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So it's Beatty, who is finally getting into a game on the end of the line, and he went too soon. Coming back from that broken foot, and now he jogs to the sideline. It's 2nd and goal, and they're doing the tests on the sideline up high on Jenkins.
Just interesting to me that for a guy who was ostracized this week for not making the tackle, gets injured in this game, sticking his head in there to make a tackle.
2nd and goal. Hand off to Bradshaw. He's back to that same spot. A gain of 5. 3rd and goal.
Boy, the Giants just don't vary from what they believe, you know, and that is pound you with the football. And even with offensive linemen injured and shuffling them up, they're going to continue to do the things that they believe in. And that was the real question mark coming into this season, was were they going to be able to run the football the way that they had and be the type of offense that they had been in previous years? And they've been that and more.
Is picked off, intercepted by McCann. No one to get him. Brian McCann all alone. Touchdown Dallas Cowboys. There are no flags. First career interception for McCann, and he turns it into a touchdown.
And that was on Hakeem Nicks. Eli Manning was expecting him to run a slant route, and Hakeem starts on it, as you're going to see, but then he stops right there. And McCann already had inside leverage, but you have got to cross his face once you start there, because the quarterback's anticipating that you will, and when you don't, that's what happens.
101 yards on the return, and like that, with the Giants so close to maybe taking a lead, McCann checks out himself up on the big screen. The two head coaches, Jason Garrett's Cowboys, are up by 13.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty.
Well, for a team that was nearly a 2-touchdown underdog coming into this game, they get a 101-yard interception return for a touchdown from Brian McCann. And if the Giants didn't know they had their hands full coming in, they do now, trailing by 13 with 7.5 to go in the first half.
Boy, and Dallas just doesn't get a lot of interceptions, let alone to run it all the way back for a touchdown.
This is a team that had only 5 interceptions all season coming in and just 10 takeaways. They turn their 11s right into points. Here's Blackman. And Will Blackman carries it back out to the 25. So 101 yards from Brian McCann, number 37, his first in the NFL. Soldiers from Camp Leatherneck in Afghanistan cheering. The Cowboy fans are, at least. 16-3 Dallas. A Giants team that's put up 82 points combined over the last 2 weeks. Offensively, they've been, for the most part, shut down as Bradshaw over the left side carries it for 4 penalty flag flies. Here's a call.
Personal foul, face mask, number 62 of the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat, first down.
Well, that's Mitch Petrus, the rookie, and yeah, sure enough, he's got a face mask, and it looked like there was a face mask. We go back to the interception here with Hakeem Nicks and Brian McCann, and you see there, McCann had inside leverage, and the only explanation for Hakeem Nicks was if he was going to try to come out of that route, but that's hard to do, read those types of things in the red zone. And then based on Eli Manning's conversation with him on the sideline, no question Hakeem Nicks was, or at least Eli Manning was expecting him to run the slant. He stopped on it because McCann had such good leverage, but you just can't do that to your quarterback.
You saw that near face mask on Jeremy Clark, wearing number 73 for Dallas. He was just added, former Giant, for a short time. Penalty flag on the completion of Barden. get the call from Bill Levy.
Illegal formation. Number 65 was not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
So that's 3 things on Will Beatty. 1, he didn't report. 2, down on 2nd and goal from just outside the 1. He had a false start, and now he wasn't on the line of scrimmage. And this will be a bad film session for Will Beatty if he sits with Coughlin.
You know, Joe, I think they got the number wrong. I don't even think Will Beatty was in the game, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what that was about, but regardless, they're saying that somebody, yeah, he's thinking, yeah, of course I wasn't on the line of scrimmage. I was on the sideline for crying out loud.
So it's 1st and 25. Bradshaw, Brady James. Ware was in there as well, a gain of just 2 in this offense. They had the one good drive that ended in the interception return for the touchdown, but they've made mistakes. They've had penalties, and now they have 2nd and 23.
Yeah, it's been sloppy, and on the previous possession, remember, the Cowboys kicked that ball out of bounds, so that possession started on the 40-yard line, and it's generally expected you're going to come away with some points. They get the interception, Cowboys come away with the points, but right now, Giants have been very sloppy on the offensive side of the ball.
Handoff to Bradshaw. There is nothing there. Skandrick up to make the stop, and this crowd is letting them hear it. A loss of 1. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Mike Jenkins remains in the locker room. Team doctors are looking at his neck at this time. We'll update you on his status when we get more information. Back to you.
Well, so now Mike Jenkins and Terrence Newman are off the field and in the locker room. You wouldn't know it by the way this Dallas defense is played, even recently with Skandrick and McCann at the corners. It's 3rd and 24. Pass is bobbled and dropped by Boss. Throw a little high. It's 4th down, and let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, after being thumped by the Giants last week, Seattle doing a nice job of bouncing back today in Arizona. Matt Hasselbeck hooking up with Dion Butler. Butler makes a couple of moves and outruns 3 Cardinals to the end zone. 63 yards on the score. 17-10. Seahawks on top for the second quarter. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Makes a difference with Hasselbeck at quarterback. 5 to go in the half. Dodge hits a line drive that goes out of bounds.
Well, he's having a tough night too.
I'll say. Dallas will start this possession on the Giants side of the 50, and that was just 32 yards after a 31-yarder earlier. As you look at the Cowboy head coaches under Jerry Jones, that picture makes you smile, doesn't it? I got the 3 championships with Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer. How did this one make you smile, Troy?
Which one?
This picture. Any of those guys?
No, but hey, look at this game here, Joe, and we knew coming in that the Giants couldn't afford to give the Cowboys any reason to have hope. You want to jump up on a team that's 1-7. You want to pound on them early and let them give up. And they've given Dallas all kinds of reason to believe.
How about over the middle, Martellus Bennett. Good throw by Kitna. And while we talk about all the things going on around the Dallas Cowboys, Kitna's made some good throws here in this first half.
Well, he really has. And I think that overall, while he has been the starter, he's played decent. You know, I mean, he had the interceptions a couple of weeks ago. A number of those balls were tipped. This is a guy, he's making his 118th start, you know, here today. So he has played a lot of football, and he's won games.
On first down, here's Felix Jones. Terrell Thomas up to make the stop. No gain.
But there's no question that we're looking at a different team in the Dallas Cowboys from what we've seen in recent weeks. And you know, Tony Romo going down, there's a number of people that would say, well, this season wouldn't be nearly as bad as it is if he had stayed healthy. And of course, it was these Giants that knocked him out. They were 1-4 when he was healthy. You know, I have a hard time saying that much would have been different with Tony Romo on the field. Not to imply that he's not a better player, but this team already had problems.
Fake toss, Kittner rolls, and then throws it away from Bennett. There was nothing out there. You look at the NFC East. The Giants are on top at 6-2. Philadelphia plays at Washington on Monday night. And then there's Dallas at 1-7. They play in Arlington, which will be the site for Super Bowl 45 on February 6th. Witten at the bottom of your screen. Barber up top. Throw to Witten. Trying to make a move. Stays on his feet for a moment after getting around Deion Grant. But short of a first down. It's 4th down, and the Cowboys will take the points.
Well, and I think that's a good defensive possession by the New York Giants. I mean, when you consider where the Cowboys got the ball because of the punt, to hold Dallas then to only 3 points on this drive is pretty good.
Beeler's had an extra point tipped and missed. His first miss on an extra point this season. It's a 23-yard try. And he's 2 for 2. And it's 19-3 Dallas. Fox Wednesday, it's the season premiere of Human Target. The man who will guard your life with his own is getting a little backup. Your life is on the line. They're the team to call. Human Target season premiere Wednesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. We're going to talk about the Giants when they get the ball, but just to follow up on a point that you talked about and they talked about on the pregame show, Fox NFL Sunday. Going through my notes, you and I did that game when they were 0-2 and playing in Houston. And that week, the Dallas players had a players-only meeting after week 2. And Terrence Newman was openly questioning the practice environment. And then you roll the clock forward and they get off to the 1-7 start. They fire Wade Phillips. And Jason Garrett said expectations aren't about playing a Super Bowl in your home stadium. It's about having a good crisp Wednesday followed by a good crisp Thursday and people showing up on time, hustling. I mean, you talk about back to Little League fundamentals. That's where they are.
Well, he definitely got these players' attention. For most of them, I think it was a welcome change. There's always going to be some dissent amongst others, and Jason Garrett, quite frankly, doesn't care.
Good booming kick this time from Beeler. That's Blackman from around the 3. Makes a move. Can't make the 30. Mark him at the 26. Sean Lee downfield to make the stop. So now what do the Giants have to do? A team that comes in number 2 overall, averaging over 400 yards per game, and Manning has thrown that one pick which went for 7 points.
Well, I think they've just got to clean some things up. You know, the interception obviously killed them down there. I mean, that's at least a 10-point swing and probably a 14-point swing. But they've got to eliminate these pre-snap penalties that have kept them in 3rd and long situations, and they've had no chance to really sustain any type of drives.
Starting from the 26. Manning airs it out. Down the field for Manningham. To the 30. McCann on the stop after a completion and run of 44 yards.
Well, it's the same combination of routes that we saw Dallas run. They're going to release Kevin Boss here, and that then pulls the safety. You're going to see the safety right there in the middle. He has to go with Kevin Boss, so then you get no middle help. You're one-on-one on the outside. They call that coverage 2 switch, but once they release the tight end vertically off the field, up the field, then the outside corner, McCann, has to know he has no help and has to then cover that guy to the middle of the field. If the tight end released across the field, then he would get safety help.
Giants spend a timeout. They have 2 left, 2.5 minutes to go in the half. In what is a 16-point game. And you think that Eli Manning and the Giants offensively, Troy, have got to take advantage. The fact that a 2-time Pro Bowler Newman is out. The Pro Bowler from last year, Mike Jenkins, is out. Now Newman comes back on the field, and we have not seen him since the opening possession, and Dallas needs him because they just are thin at the cornerback spot.
Yeah, and you would expect that the Giants will continue to take advantage and get something going. Remember, this is a Giants team that just doesn't quit. Think back to the last time these two teams met. New York was down 20-7, and they still were able to come back and win that game, rattled off 30-something straight points. It's a big drive right here, though, for the New York Giants.
They have over 200 yards of offense, but just 3 points. Newman didn't look like he was moving around well at all. As Manning throws, completes to Barton. Rams us to the 25, a gain of 5.
I think that's part of it, though, Joe, is you really can't take a breath if you're Dallas against this offense because they are so explosive.
2nd and 5. Manning throws, pass complete. Good effort by Nix. Got away from a tackle. That was McCann. He whiffed. And with that effort, 15 yards, 10 of them after the missed tackle.
Hakeem Nicks is like Dallas's version of Des Bryant. I mean, look how big and physical he is. Just great hands. I mean, he's got huge hands, and he's strong at the point of the catch. And he's able to haul those passes in, and then he's just difficult to get to the ground. I asked him the other day, what is the thing that you do best? And he said, run after the catch. A pretty good example of it there.
10 yards after the catch. First down, Giants. We're at the 2-minute warning. You see the second quarter offense. The yards are there for the Giants. The points are not. Interception by Manning for the end 7 points to McCann. Here it is on 1st and goal, and this one is caught by Barton, and he took it away. That was nearly picked off, but Ramses Barton was there to haul in the catch. 2nd and goal.
That was not a good throw by Eli Manning. Not a good decision. That ball should have been intercepted.
On 2nd and goal, end zone, juggled and dropped. Boss, who had his first last week, almost had number 2 on the year. And let's go back to that near interception.
Well, you're going to see the relationship of the defender. You know, right there, it's Keith Brooking, and he was in a position to undercut that throw, and it was a dangerous throw there by Eli Manning. This last one is one. It was a good throw here. Kevin Boss got to make that play.
Right through the hands and into the face mask. So now it's 3rd and goal. Throwing off his back foot. Flag is down, and a good defensive play by Skandrick on Barton. But a flag is down. Indication is holding against the Giants.
Holding. Number 76 offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
And so it's a hold defensively for Dallas after a 1st and goal from the 10.
That's right here on right guard Chris Snee. It's just Jay Ratliff, and you saw that left arm get up around his neck, and they're just trying to get the ball up high to Ramses Barton at 6'6". They're in the red zone, but it wouldn't have counted anyway.
Tynes delivered the first points of the day. Dallas with 19 straight. And now Tynes is 2 for 2, hits from 25. How about if we do it then and now? Phil McConkey, before signing with the Giants as a 27-year-old rookie, McConkey served for 4 years in the Navy as a pilot. Probably best known for the touchdown catch in Super Bowl 21 off a Mark Bavaro deflection. And now today, part of the pregame ceremony and a 2-way feed back and forth with Afghanistan.
Well, Phil McConkey is an impressive individual. I spent some time out in San Diego this summer, and he was kind enough to take me and a few others to visit the Navy SEALs operation in Coronado, and what an impressive group of individuals that is. But Phil helped line that up, and good to see him here in New York today.
He was the definition of tough as a player. Obviously not a big-bodied guy. He took hits. kept popping up and coming back for more.
You know, now he's running. In fact, when I saw him last summer, he was training for a track meet, and it's by age, and so he's competing against others his age, but it's 100-yard dashes and hurdles and all kinds of stuff. You know, I mean, the guy's a fitness nut, and oftentimes he'll go train with some of the Navy SEALs there in Coronado.
It's a 13-point game, and the Cowboys about to get it back. Des Bryant, the rookie. He's got 2 punt returns for a touchdown. Spins off a couple of tacklers, and they're going to mark him out of bounds after a good return out at the 37-yard line. Every time he touches the ball, something happens for Dallas, and it's usually something good. But the early game headliners in a win. Jay Cutler, a 2-touchdown win over the Minnesota Vikings. There's his day. Josh Freeman, another win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And David Garrard, who got hot against the Dallas Cowboys. He had a big day, threw for 342. And Jacksonville's 7-point win over Houston. Cowboys offense averaging over 11 yards per play. And on the ground, it's Felix Jones. And Jones is knocked down at the marker. About 9.5 yards from Jones.
Well, they've run the ball well. This is probably the best that Dallas has run the ball all season long, really. You know, they've been able to maintain some balance. Of course, the score has dictated that, but Perry Fuel, the defensive coordinator for the Giants, he anticipated this. He said, I think they're going to come into this game and try to run the ball a little bit more than what they have seen. Now, of course, in this situation, they will start throwing it at some point.
They're going to have to call a timeout here. They have 3 left, and they call it. I'm surprised they huddled up, which they did before that 2nd and 1. And with 42 seconds left, timeout Dallas. We look back. That circus catch by Des Bryant. Extra point was missed. Cowboys challenged it. Call was reversed. Touchdown Dallas. And then this 101 yards from McCann on a 3rd and goal. Interception thrown by Eli Manning. And while the yards are there offensively for the Giants, with a total of 226, they have just 2 field goals. Visa halftime's coming up. Kurt Terry, Howie Michael, and Jimmy talk about the Vikings. Their troubles continue. They lost on the road at Chicago earlier today, and the Bucs bounce back. How about Tampa Bay? They're 6-3.
I think Jason Garrett right now would like to be aggressive with John Kitna and try to come away with some more points, but right now he's got all the momentum working in his favor.
Kitna underneath to Felix Jones, and a good tackle by Terrell Thomas. A gain of just 2.
Yeah, that was a good tackle by Terrell Thomas. He got picked on a little bit earlier. We saw the touchdown that Des Bryant was able to get over him, and then another big play down the field, but a good open field tackle there by Thomas.
It's almost like the Cowboys don't know exactly how they want to play the rest of this game clock, because they still have 2 timeouts left. There's the first catch for Roy Williams and a timeout taken, but now there's just 10 seconds.
Well, they're not used to leading at this point in the first half. This is uncharted water for them, Joe.
So they've been slow getting plays away, and now with 10 seconds left, they've got a 3rd down. But it's been an impressive day so far in the coaching debut. Head coaching debut for Jason Garrett.
Well, yeah, it has been, and I think that guys did get it got their attention this week. But you come into a game like this at 1-7, everybody comes in optimistic. But as soon as something bad happens, when you're in that situation, then you immediately think, okay, here we go again. But the Giants never gave Dallas a reason not to believe that this week was going to be the same as it has been every other week, and that's why right now, as this game has gone along, we've seen the Cowboys gain more and more confidence.
It's been impressive offensively, been impressive defensively, and they lead by 13 points with 10 seconds left in the half. 1 timeout remaining. And that's going to be a false start on Kitna.
False start, number 3, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So just to give you the numbers, it would be a 67-yard field goal from here. So that tells you they need to get 14, 15 yards or so to give Beeler a realistic shot. He's got a big leg, and it's 3rd and 8. They can use the middle of the field here with a timeout left. Kitna buys time and throws it away. Now it's 4th down. Pressure by Justin Tuck. And 2 seconds are left in the half.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't see anybody running out there, and yeah, they're not even going to take a chance on getting a punt blocked or anything. My guess is they're going to drop back here and just see if they can't get one into the end zone. Or just take a knee.
2 seconds left in the half, and Kitna makes sure the clock winds down to zeros, and it's a 13-point game at the half. Certainly the biggest play of the day, one of the biggest, I'm sure, around the NFL here in week number 10, is this return by McCann, and Jason Garrett was there running right alongside him on the sideline.
Well, we've talked to Tom Coughlin a lot here in recent weeks, and he's been concerned when we've talked to him about the turnovers that they've had and how that might impact them. It impacted them here in the first half of this game.
So the Dallas Cowboys 1-7, trying to end a 5-game winning streak for the Giants. 19-6 at the half. An emotional start for Jason Garrett, taking over this week as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. Dallas will start this half with a football. Des Bryant, who has been electrifying as a rookie for the Cowboys, waits for it. 13-point Dallas lead. From outside the 5, Bryant brought down from behind, inches shy of the 30, down to the field, and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, by contrast to the Giants, the Cowboys have been showing outstanding energy all day. Jason Garrett told me at the half that as far as his cornerback situation goes, Mike Jenkins, who is out with a sprained neck, well, we just got to survive that, he said. Tom Coughlin says if we start making some plays, maybe we can get some momentum, and then maybe we can get some energy. Back to you.
Well, right now for the Giants, it's up to the defense, which is the #1 ranked defense in the NFL. They've been on a roll during this 5-game win streak. They've allowed just 15 points per game. Gronkowski is overthrown, and now the lights go out. The lights just went out here at New Meadowlands Stadium.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that it's to the point where it's too dark to play, but it's pretty close. And we'll get word as Bill Levy will go over and check with the stadium ops people, I would guess, to see what the deal is. So we'll take a break, and Troy will try to find that switch he leaned on accidentally. Get the lights back on. We're playing football here in Jersey.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Nissan. Innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation for all. By State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Well, the word is we're going to play.
Okay. That's good.
A little darker than before. It is really dark down to our right.
Yeah, that's probably the darkest, right behind where the Cowboys are right now on the field is probably the darkest area of the field.
Cowboys are moving down toward the light. And on 2nd and 10, here is Felix Jones. And see if this defense for the Giants comes alive. O.C. Umenyiora makes the play. Mike Pereira is with us from out in Los Angeles. Mike, what is the procedure typically when you're in this type situation?
Well, Bill Levy will make the decision on this. He's the guy, the referee has the total jurisdiction. If he thinks it's not light enough, he can suspend the game. Once he suspends it, then it goes to New York to the Football Operations Command Center, and then they'll make the decision when to restart and whether or not power is going to get brought back up.
Provided the phones work. It's 3rd and 10. Kitna drops it off. That's Felix Jones. Room to run. On 3rd and 10, Felix Jones may take it all the way. Felix Jones will coast for the touchdown. In a game of big plays for the Dallas Cowboys, they just get another 71 yards to the light and to the end zone for Dallas.
The Giants are in man coverage. It looks like right here. No, that's Tuck. I couldn't tell who exactly was supposed to be in man coverage on Felix Jones because they're man elsewhere. And then once Felix Jones gets the ball to the outside, everybody running with their backs to Felix Jones and with a convoy out in front of him. And once Felix is in the open field, he's not going to get caught.
And just like that, 26-6. The celebration. And we look at Camp Leatherneck in Afghanistan. The Cowboy fans are having fun so far in this one. The Dallas Cowboys, who were 0 for 10 on 3rd down in the previous meeting between these two, convert on their first 3rd down. It was 3rd and 10, 71 yards. That's a career-long catch for Felix Jones, and it's the longest pass play of the season for Dallas. As the Cowboys' offensive coordinator is now also their head coach. And here's Will Blackman trying to give some momentum back to the Giants. And a good return by Blackman of 43 yards. Let's go back to the touchdown.
You're going to see that they're in man coverage here running off. The problem is there's nobody in the middle that's going to account for Felix Jones. Just a blown coverage there as to who it was that was assigned to him. Whenever you're running a screenplay like that, if you're able to get the ball into the guy's hands against man coverage and block then who's covering him, you got a real chance. Umenyiora here felt like he got held, and he probably did. But just more than anything, a busted assignment by New York, and then getting it against the perfect coverage, man coverage.
Kevin Boss at the top of your screen. Banks of lights are starting to come back on here at New Meadowlands Stadium. 1st down, Giants, and this one is caught by Manningham. So far they're saying catch.
Wow.
I don't know how he caught it, but getting it away from McCann, that's a catch.
I mean, all Eli did was just lay it out there because it didn't look like there was any chance for Manningham to outrun McCann to make that completion.
Giants hurry up, so there is no chance for a review. And Bradshaw plugs ahead for 4 yards. What a catch by Manningham. It looked like he may have had it clean going to the ground and maintain possession.
Well, it was a really nice throw as well. I mean, that was great coverage there by Brian McCann. But one heck of a reception.
Ball did move when you see Eli take a shot from Ratliff. And Manningham went to the ground, but it looked like he had his arm under it. It was a 20-yard catch. And a 4-yard run by Bradshaw, and a toss to Ahmad Bradshaw. Gets 2.
You know what's interesting about that touchdown to Felix Jones was the Cowboys had still not yet converted on a third down. That was the first third down that they had converted, even going back to their last matchup against the Cowboys or against the Giants. So they were 0-14 on third downs going into that one. And then they busted loose for a touchdown.
Look at the Giants as they trail in the second half. The first time in the last 6 games. It's 3rd down and 4. This one takes off, and what a catch by Nix. Wow. A one-handed catch for a first down.
This guy's amazing. I mean, he really is. He had an awfully good rookie season, and he has taken that and just elevated his play here in this second year. I mean, pretty remarkable. I saw him catching balls at Friday's practice, Joe, one-handed. You know, every time somebody does a game, they talk about the size of his hands. They're huge, but he's able to make those types of plays. Pretty incredible stuff.
You asked him if he could palm a basketball. He said, I could do that in 8th grade.
I think he was doing it in 2nd grade.
Here is Bradshaw to the 20. All right, Kurt, it's a 1st and 10 for the Giants at the 15-yard line. Down 26-6. Manning steps up, has room to run, and will slide. They'll mark him down outside the 5. There was a generator that blew outside the stadium. In fact, you can kind of smell a little smoke wafting through this stadium, New Meadowlands. And it was surreal, to say the least, when the lights went out. It was pitch black in here, and then slowly different banks of lights started to come back on. A 12-minute delay, and it's now 2nd down Giants.
And a number of players not knowing what was going on, nor did anyone else, but they hit the ground. A number of those guys did.
Beatty comes in as an eligible receiver, and Bradshaw takes it to the 5. Spencer on the stop, depends on the spot, and they're saying first down. So 1st and goal. Giants need a touchdown. We lost our graphics temporarily because of the power outage. There's Mike Jenkins, who is now in street clothes, so his day is finished. So a 1st and goal when we come back from the 5-yard line for the Giants, who trail by 20. Well, this is the 3rd time for the Giants inside the red zone. 26-6 game, 9:01 left, the 3rd quarter. Previous 2 trips inside the red zone have led to 3 Giants points and 7 Cowboys points. Play action, middle, touchdown Manningham. And just like that, the Giants take it down the field.
Well, they run Mario Manningham in motion, and then you've got play action in the backfield to Brandon Jacobs. Man coverage against Orlando Scandrick, but because of the play action, you get the linebackers biting up, and then you've got a nice window there for Eli Manning to deliver the ball.
Tynes hits the extra point. So it is now 26-13 with 8:56 left. Well, that's what we're left with graphically, 26-13, and I'm glad we have that, because doing the math and knowing how much time's left and being in a pitch black stadium with thousands of people, it's been a weird day. But in the end, it's Dallas on top by 13 now, and Des Bryant will be carried back into the end zone. He'll take it. Bryant tries the right side. This time the Giants cover it, and Des Bryant got to the 15. That's it. Tollefson downfield to make the play, and we go back to the touchdown on 1st and goal.
Yeah, now this was 1st and goal. So again, you're going to see Manningham in motion, but it's the play action here that gets Brooking and Brady James to bite. And you see the window there that Eli Manning had to throw the ball. That's a pretty good look at what the quarterback sees down there at the goal line and how easy that was for the touchdown.
Now the crowd jumps back in, and they hope that the Giants defense does the same.
Well, they've woke this crowd up, that's for sure.
On 1st down, Kitna underneath. Barber incomplete. Boley with good coverage. 2nd down and 10.
You know, overall, this offensive line, Joe, has given John Kitna pretty good time and protection to deliver the football. Now, they've been balanced in their attack, and that has certainly helped, but we haven't heard much from Justin Tuck and O.C. Umanura.
Trouble with the snap. Pass is caught. A block out on the edge. There goes Des Bryant. Down the sideline. Phillips caught up to him, and by the time Bryant is brought down, we'll see where they're going to mark it. They mark Bryant back just inside the 40.
Well, that's set up pretty well because they put the right tackle, Mark Colombo, out, and then Des Bryant is the one who helped set it up because they had a corner out there to make the play, but when he comes to the inside, then he's got a blocker in Colombo, and then it's a foot race. And for a defense that came into this game being very stingy and giving up big plays, they've given up a number of them here in this one.
That one good for 46 yards. 1st and 10 inside the 40 at the 39. Here's Barber. Marion Barber as the play strung out. Penalty flag flies. Barber did a lot with that, but maybe there was a hold. And there is a hold against Dallas. So I don't hear, and we may not have Bill Levy's mic piped in after the power outage, but it's a hold against the Cowboys. Wipe away that 6-yard run by Marion Barber.
It looked like it might have been on Kyle Kozar, but you know, hard to really know. But one thing is this is impressive what we're seeing from Dallas, even though they still have a lead after the Giants went down and scored. You know, with the momentum shift, for them to come back and really put together a big play there to Des Bryant, considering the way they've played in recent weeks, I think that says something.
It's 1st down and 20. They fake the handoff, and the pass batted down by Umanura. O.C. is coming off a great month of October when he was the defensive player of the month. Had 7 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and he's really played, and he has impressed Perry Fuel, the new defensive coordinator. When Umanura came to Fuel and said, hey, you know, I can play the run also, Fuel knew that Umanura was buying into the program, and O.C.'s played great.
Well, and he's going to have to play great the rest of this game as well, along with the other guys, because if they're going to climb back into this down 13, this defense has got to make some stops.
7 minutes, 43 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. It's 2nd and 20. Kitna looking for help. Fires it to Barber, who goes backward. Aaron Ross.
Aaron Ross with a little bit of help there from Goff, but Ross is the guy who brings him to the ground. You even got John Kitna running down there, and I would advise against trying to block Chris Canty.
It's 3rd and 22. Fake the handoff, Kitna down the sideline. Roy Williams, what a throw. 1st down and a huge conversion. On 3rd and 22, Kitna hits Roy Williams for 27.
Well, they're in cover 2, meaning Terrell Thomas has help, but you've got to continue to slough on that route and not let Roy Williams in behind you. He's expecting safety help. But when you're talking about having to get 22 yards for a first down and no receiver in the flat threatening you, as the corner, you have to continue to retreat. That's 2 big third downs. The other one was the touchdown to Felix Jones, and then they get the big 22-yarder for the first down there.
Kidna fires. Miles Austin, touchdown. And John Kidna, who's well over 300 yards now, is having his best day as a Dallas Cowboy.
Well, this time it's Miles Austin's turn to work on Corey Webster. He gets him completely turned around. Double move there, post, corner, post. And that's what creates the separation on Corey Webster. It's a heck of a drive right there after the Giants go down to score, to answer and come right back with a touchdown of their own.
John Kidna, 13 of 19, 327 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Celebrating since the start of this one. It's a 20-point game again, 33-13. Dallas on top after taking it down the field, and on that drive, a conversion on 3rd and 22. John Kidna, who prior to the Giants game on October 25th in Dallas last threw an NFL regular season pass October 5th of 08. Hasn't won a game since December of 07 in the NFL. Has his team up under new interim head coach Jason Garrett. Will Blackman on the return. Hurd on the tackle, and back to the touchdown to Austin.
Yeah, look at the protection that John Kidna has afforded in the pocket. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but there's just not much pressure or forcing Kidna to get the ball out of the hands any sooner than what he wants. And you look over the sidelines, Perry Fuel, the defensive coordinator, and Tom Coughlin having a discussion. I mean, this looks like the sideline that we saw for so many weeks of the Dallas Cowboys, and it's taking place there on the New York Giants sideline.
That after the 24-yard touchdown catch by Miles Austin. Now here are the Giants. Defense has let them down as well. Talking about New York, and Ahmad Bradshaw carries it. 3.
You know, one thing though, Joe, in visiting with Perry Fuel the other day, he was pretty confident coming into this game, and he felt that if he could get Dallas the 3rd and 6 plus, that they could dominate this Dallas offense. Well, they did that. They got him to 3rd and long on the touchdown to Felix Jones. They got him to 3rd and 22 on the conversion then to Roy Williams that then led to the touchdown to Miles Austin. So a couple of big 3rd down conversions by the Dallas Cowboys in an area where the Giants had just been dominant throughout this year.
Overall, the Dallas Cowboys are 2 for 6 on 3rd down. Here it's 2nd and 7 for the Giants with 5.5 to play 3rd quarter. Here's one down the field. Contact and a flag. Hakeem Nicks with coverage by McCann.
Yeah, boy, that was Eli Manning just kind of throwing it up and saying a prayer along the way. And I'm not so sure it was a ball that could have been caught, but clearly there was contact made. And Hakeem Nicks got turned around and was then trying to backpedal, but contact was made. That's the way that the rule reads, and a good call.
35-yard penalty against McCann, who has a 101-yard touchdown on an interception return. And it's a first down at the Dallas 35.
What's probably frustrating for defensive coordinator Paul Pasqualoni is the fact that it was a 2-man route and they had both receivers double covered, and yet the pass interference is basically a completion.
From the 35, Manning with time, throws to a wide open Kevin Boss, running for the end zone. Touchdown.
Well, they run Kevin Boss from here across the field, and the safety right here is looking up the outside receiver. Looked like that was Hakeem Nicks, and that's why Kevin Boss comes open as much as he did. In fact, Kevin Boss catches it, and he turns, and I think he was expecting to have contact. It was close as to whether or not he actually got in.
Yeah, he hit that pylon. The ball looked like it was inside it and across the plane. It's a touchdown, 35 yards. Back-to-back weeks for Kevin Boss, getting a touchdown catch from Eli Manning. And it's 33-20. As these two teams now trade blows with 5:19 left in the third quarter. What a wild game this is here at New Meadowlands Stadium. There's the score with the time left, and we're only in the third quarter. Back to the touchdown.
You see here, Eli Manning does a good job of just extending the play, but Kevin Boss, when he turned around, I think he was surprised himself that there was nobody there. It's not often that a tight end will catch that ball and not have contact as soon as he catches it. But what a great drive right there by the Giants. We've seen it now go back and forth. Not much defense on either side, but you know, I go back to what I said earlier with the New York Giants. This is a defense that has been dominant throughout this year. And they have given up some big plays, something very uncharacteristic of them. But they've got to make a stop here on this next possession.
Meanwhile, for the Giants touchdown, it was 35 yards to Boss after a 35-yard penalty on Brian McCann on pass interference. And so Perry Fuel, you specifically asked if Tom Coughlin is more gentle these days. Fuel was a secondary coach for Coughlin for 5 years in Jacksonville. He said, well, if he is, I haven't seen it. And those two have been glaring at each other on the sideline pretty much all afternoon.
And for the record, I knew the answer to that before I asked.
Des Bryant from inside the 5. Tollefson was the first one to get his hands on him. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
San Francisco and St. Louis all tied at 10 in the third quarter. Steven Jackson unties a 13-yard touchdown run, and the Rams, trying to hold on to first place in the West, lead it 17-10 in the fourth. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, Kurt, thanks. There have been 28 points scored in this quarter. Here's Felix Jones, left side. Goff, middle linebacker, made the tackle. Gain of 3. Solid collision between Felix Jones and Jonathan Goff.
You know, Felix Jones is, you know, he had 15 carries back in week 4. And then coming into this game tonight, each week after that, his carries had gone down to the point that last week in the loss to the Packers, he only had 5 carries in that game.
He's at 5.5 per carry, 5.5 yards per carry. Felix Jones. Kidna pulls it down. Now he'll try the right side, looking for Austin. Instead, he'll run. Forced out by Boley. Gain of 4. Third and short coming up for Dallas.
Hey, John Kidna, I think he's had himself a heck of a game. I mean, he has delivered some nice passes, but it's all a result of this offensive line giving him some time.
Third down and 3. Over the middle, batted down, and a penalty flag comes in. The rookie Jason Pierre-Paul was in the neighborhood. Here's the call. It's an illegal shift against Dallas. Penalty declined, 4th down.
Yeah, it looked like there was a lot of movement going on at the time that the ball was snapped, so I'm not surprised by the penalty there. You see Pierre-Paul, he was blocked. Leonard Davis had him in a good position and had him clearly blocked, but that's what you do. If you can't get to the quarterback, stand up, get your hands up, knock it down. A big third down stop there by New York.
Just what they needed as they trail at 13. High hanging punt from McBriar. And Will Blackman with a fair catch. 43-yard punt. And here comes Eli Manning. So Manning, who guided his team down the field with big help from a McCann penalty, now has his Giants with their 5-game winning streak on the line, down by 13. Box is back. This half, 2 possessions for the Giants, 2 touchdowns. Here's Brandon Jacobs. Good run on first down of 5.
You know, overall, Joe, this defense for Dallas has done a heck of a job slowing this running game down by New York. Paul Pasqualoni knew coming in, he said, if we don't know what running back is in the game, we're going to have a huge problem at the snap, because Brandon Jacobs likes to be the power guy off tackle. Ahmad Bradshaw likes to bounce, and how then they play that is determined by who's going to be carrying the ball. And up to this point, this Dallas defense has done a really nice job of slowing this running game down.
It's Jacobs still in there. And he gets it from Manning. First down across the 40. And you can just kind of feel it that the Giants are taking over the momentum in this game. We're only in the 3rd quarter, and it feels like it's shifting here with New York down by 13.
Yeah, and to go back to kind of what I was saying, you've got Brandon Jacobs in the backfield, and a guy who they have not thrown the ball to all that often, coming into this game with just 4 receptions. And so he tends to get lost sometimes. Eli Manning able to get the ball in his hands and a big first down.
Jay Ratliff comes out, grabbing the back of his left leg. We're already thin up front defensively for Dallas, and Jacobs started to run before he made the catch. Fox Wednesday, it's the season premiere of Human Target. The man who will guard your life with his own is getting a little backup. Your life is on the line. They're the team to call for. A Human Target season premiere Wednesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central here on Fox.
I'll be sure to watch it.
2nd and 10. 2.5 to go, 3rd quarter after that incompletion to Jacobs.
Jacobs still shaking his head about dropping that last pass.
Here's Jacobs. Not much, and runs right up the back of Booth. DeMarcus Ware on the tackle, a gain of 3.
Yeah, and that's the type of things that DeMarcus Ware can do, because he's such a fast guy coming off the edge, and he runs him down from behind. And so as the play caller, Kevin Gilbride, you've got to know that and then have something off of it. Okay, well, if DeMarcus Ware is going to crash hard on the backside of the running plays and run our guy down, then we've got to get Eli Manning out on some type of bootleg or some kind of misdirection to take advantage of it.
It's 3rd down and 7. Manning throws, hits Manningham, and a good tackle by Skandrick. It's going to be a yard shy of a first down. And the crowd's already yelling for the Giants to go for it.
Yeah, that's a hard one, I think, with the way that the defense has overall struggled against Dallas. I think this is the right decision. I don't think there was much of a decision there for Tom Coughlin to make. Manningham catches that ball. He had a lot of field to work with. Could have pushed it up a little bit deeper. And then if you make the catch or you have to come back, you have enough yardage for the first down. I think that's the frustration by Eli Manning, that you complete the ball and yet you're not deep enough for a first down.
Dodge hits it, but drills it halfway into the end zone. It's just a net of 29 yards of field position. We'd like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today's broadcast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. We thank you for all you do, and we hope you're enjoying today's telecast. That is the Teardrop Memorial. And there are so many men and women in the armed services that are here with us in the stadium Sunday after Veterans Day, and also being joined by men and women in Afghanistan watching at Camp Leatherneck. It's first down for Dallas at the 20, up by 13. Handoff is to Felix Jones. He gets 2. Just so you know, the last time the Giants came back from a 20-point deficit was in November of 1950 against the Baltimore Colts.
Well, it's been a long time since the Giants have had the type of offensive playmakers that they have now. And so if they were ever equipped to come back from that kind of deficit, this group of players, even without Steve Smith, is the group that can do it.
It's 2nd and 8. Hand off to Felix Jones, nowhere to go. Canty was the first one there. And that's how this third quarter will end, with the momentum shifting to the New York sideline. It's 33-20 Dallas at the end of 3. The NFL on Fox will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Should be some ending. 15 minutes left in this one, and a 3rd down for Dallas. 3rd and 11, up by 13 points as we start the 4th quarter. Pierre-Paul gets back on the right side of the football. Umanura does the same. 3rd and 11. Kidna in trouble. Being chased, and he slides short of the first down. A punt coming from Dallas, and after the punt, we will be joined by Jimmy Johnson, 2-time Super Bowl champion, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Watch Justin Tuck right here, 91. It looks like he's going to come, and then he drops, and he was the guy who got underneath Jason Witten, because that's where Kidna wanted to go with the football and why he had to scramble. Good defense.
Good punt by McBriar. Wow. Actually hits the official. With 14:21 left in the game, and we're joined by Jimmy Johnson from the studio. How about this game, Jimmy? A little different tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's obvious to anybody watching the game that the Cowboys are playing with more effort and more passion than what they have the last couple of weeks, and that gives them a chance because they've got talent.
As Troy talked about early, if you're the Giants, you wanted to start fast and give the Cowboys a reason to just say, oh, here we go again, and check out of the game, and that just didn't happen.
No, and the other thing is, I think the changes that the Cowboys have made, running the ball more, and then on defense, playing more zone coverage, I think that's helped them.
First down for Eli Manning. The ball's at the 20. Manning is going to run and slide with a gain of 8.5.
No, Jimmy, I think you're right. You look at Dallas and the way that they've been able to maintain some balance offensively, and then on the defensive side of the ball, Paul Pasqualoni, who I think has done a heck of a job. He's put together a nice game plan in not really hanging those corners out. Of course, when you lose your first 2 corners, but he's given them some help and has eliminated some of the big plays.
Yeah, Troy, of course, the zone coverage is going to help you hide, some of the deficiencies in the secondary, but there's going to be times that those corners or the safeties are going to be isolated one-on-one. So that man coverage is going to help them in those one-on-one situations.
Here's Bradshaw with a carry. I know Troy marvels, the ball came out, but he was down. Troy marvels at the production the Giants get out of Ahmad Bradshaw, who's listed at 5'9", 198. Man, he runs really hard, doesn't he?
Just great effort. And the other thing, going back to the Cowboys, by playing zone coverage, it allows that secondary to go up and support the run. It allows the secondary to make more plays as far as getting takeaways. It really lets everybody be active rather than chasing receivers.
Here's Bradshaw again. He's out to the 45-yard line.
Yeah, well, they're doing a good job in terms of just mixing it up, getting the ball to Ahmad Bradshaw. Even when they're in the shotgun formation and he's lined up in the backfield, you've got to be aware of him. He leads the league coming into this game in 20-yard runs and 10-yard runs. He's an explosive and powerful back.
18 carries, 66 yards for Bradshaw. 2nd and 3. Good protection for Manning. It's Manningham on the catch, and he will, let's see how much forward progress they give him. The umpire walks in. They're going to mark him short of a first down.
And Joe, or I got to tell you, Joe, another catch by Mario Manningham that this shouldn't even be disputed. He is short, but he's got to get past the sticks. It's not that hard to go 1 or 2 yards past the sticks, so that when you complete it, you get a first down.
It's 3rd down and 1. Toss to Bradshaw. And Ahmad Bradshaw has enough for a 1st down.
Hey, Jimmy, I think one of the things that our viewers may be interested in is, I know that Jason has reached out to you and maybe some advice that you gave him that may have been of some help to him this week.
Well, the thing about Jason Garrett, he's been preparing himself for this opportunity for the last couple of years, and I think anybody that knows him personally, they're going to be pulling for him because he's intelligent. He's got a passion for the game, and he is going to be extremely organized. And so he's ready for this opportunity.
Manning in trouble. Throws it off the body of Seibert. Penalty flags fly. Josh Brent was there pulling Manning to the ground. And we'll see what the call is, but it certainly looked like Manning was well within the grasp, and that play was dead.
Manning
Joe and Troy, I really think, the change in the zone coverage has given Eli Manning a little bit of a problem, not expecting to see all the zone.
That penalty is declined on number 69. Intentional grounding, number 10. 10-yard penalty, loss of down, 2nd down.
So it's a 10-yard penalty, loss of down, was well within the pocket, and it brings up 2nd down and plenty.
Well, teams that would come in offensively and game plan against the Cowboys, they were pretty much certain that they were going to get man coverage across the board, and so they could put in those types of routes to beat man coverage. And when you're not getting the pressure on the quarterback with the front 4 the way that you did a year ago, boy, it really makes it tough on those guys on the outside.
2nd down and 20. The previous defensive coordinator was also the dismissed head coach Wade Phillips. There's Manning with all day down the middle, dropped. Hakeem Nicks has been so impressive this season, and in this game had a 1st down, room to run, and could not make the catch.
And a perfectly thrown ball here by Eli Manning. A good route on the outside by Nicks, and he just took his eyes off the ball at the last minute. You see the head go up, but had he have caught that, he was past the markers for the 1st down.
5 catches, 82 yards for Nicks, and now it's 3rd and 20. Manning steps up, throws high. What a catch! Kevin Boss. It depends on the spot. He took a hit and held on. And they're going to mark him inches short, and now the Giants will go for it on 4th down.
They got a 3-receiver route. You're going to see Boss there, but he hooks up, which opens up a window then for Eli Manning. He steps up in the pocket. He's able to lay it over the head there of Orlando Scandrick. It's the only throw that Eli could make. And that's just a great job by Kevin Boss climbing the ladder and pulling that one in.
19 yards on 3rd and 20. He is short, and the offense is on the field for the Giants.
Well, there's on the previous one, I agree with Tom. You had to punt that, but there's no decision to be made at this point in the game. They're measuring it only to find out exactly how much yardage they need to get to pick up this 1st down so that Kevin Gilbride can have a good play to call.
Well, it's a luxury that the Giants have with their ground game and with a combination of Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. Right now it's Jacobs, the bigger of the two, in the huddle on 4th and inches. This Giants team is 2 for 7 on 4th down this season. It's Jacobs, and it depends on the spot. Cowboys celebrate. They think they held Brandon Jacobs short of the 1st down. signal yet. And now the signal, first down Dallas.
It was Brady James who came up and made the hit.
So the Dallas defense holds on 4th and inches. Brady James made the play, and the Cowboys up 13 take over.
Today's game is sponsored by Subway Restaurants. Try the latest $5 footlong chicken marinara melt today. By the Ford F-150 and its 4 new engines. This is the future of truck. And by Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together.
What a play by Brady James to stop Brandon Jacobs and the Giants on 4th and inches. So now the Cowboys have it. And Felix Jones carries it over the left side for 3. Let's go down to the field. And Pam Oliver. Pam, what happened during that power outage?
Well, Joe, I've been back at the Stadium Command Center where there is fire marshals, there are stadium security, there's all kinds of people, and right now it's organized chaos. The explanation is there is no explanation. They are still digging. Down on the field, Joe, it was extremely scary. You just sort of grab the person next to you and hold on. As soon as more information comes through, I will send it up to you.
All right, Pam, thanks. It's 2nd and 7. Jimmy Johnson is still with us from Los Angeles as this Giants defense tries to make another stop. Play action. Down the field. Coverage is decent. The pass is better.
Wow.
And Bryant makes the catch. But there's a flag back inside the 40.
Roughing the passer, number 71 of the defense. Penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. First down.
And Bryant limps off after hitting the ground hard on the catch.
Same thing we saw in the first quarter, just one-on-one. Terrell Thomas is locked up with Dez Bryant, and he falls down, and he just can't cover the guy. I mean, it's real simple. It's a ball that was a little bit underthrown, but Dez Bryant's able to make the play. Here's the tail end of it that they got the flag on. I don't know that I agree with that one at all, but that one doesn't much matter after the big play down the field to Dez Bryant. But Terrell Thomas has had his hands full locking up with Dez Bryant. I'm shocked that they haven't given him a little bit more help on some of these early downs.
That one was good for 48 yards. And a challenge by Coughlin to see if Dez Bryant maintained the catch going to the ground. So we will have
New York
the challenge.
Giants are challenging the catch at the sideline.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more with Jimmy Johnson. Let's take another look. Here's a better angle. He's got it. Giants are challenging the catch. There's no doubt that the ball bounced and that Bryant corralled it before the ball hit the ground. The question is, by the time he corralled it, was he still in bounds? Ball comes out there. He gets control of it. And the question is he in bounds by the time he regains possession of the ball, which never hit the ground?
Well, the ball's obviously loose at that point, and then it's just a matter of once he regains possession of the ball, where is he on the field? And he's got one knee inbounds and one knee out of bounds. I think it's an incomplete pass.
Here's the call from Levy.
After reviewing the play, the receiver hit the ground and bobbled the ball. When he regained possession, he was out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass. The roughing the passer will still be enforced from the previous spot. With the timer put 9.
So it's no catch. Remember the roughing the passer call against Tollefson. We bring in Mike Pereira. Is that what you saw from back in Los Angeles, Mike?
Exactly what I saw. It's that element of control again. He lost control of the ball, and then he never fully regained possession until he was out of bounds. Interesting now, you still got that roughing the passer penalty, which does go back to the previous spot, and it's enforced there. But he never really got control until that one knee was out of bounds.
So now they're enforcing the penalty, which carries the ball inside Giants territory. And they will mark it down inside the 45, but the reversal eliminates the Cowboys setting up with 1st and goal at the 3. And now the officials get together, and they may have misspotted the football here. And Tom Coughlin wants an explanation. And they're going to have to go over and figure out where the ball should be. We have it as being 1st and 10 at the 40 after the penalty. Right now they've marked it inside the 44. And here are the Cowboys leaders as they try and figure out where the ball
penalty
is
be. 15 yards from the Dallas 45. It'll be 1st down.
So it is
at the 40 of the Giants.
40, not where they have it right now, which is just outside the 43. And Jimmy Johnson is still with us. I mean, every time you turn around in this game, Jimmy, something is happening. And the ground game for the Dallas Cowboys is finally a threat, and that play action has been able to work today for John Kitna.
Yeah, and of course it opens it up for Dez Bryant, and Dez Bryant has got to be one of the finest rookies I've seen in a long time. Him and Calvin Johnson of Detroit are the 2 big physical receivers that any general manager would be looking for.
It was Bryant who could not make the catch along the sideline. It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
You look at Dez Bryant in the year that he has, Jimmy, you're right. I mean, he's been awfully explosive. He's had big plays in virtually every game. He's a hard guy to get to the ground, and he doesn't give up easily. He has taken a beating physically here in his rookie season.
Well, besides being the great receiver, he's such a great kick returner as well. I mean, he adds a lot of power to that offense.
On 2nd and 10, here's Felix Jones. And Felix ends up picking up 3 human euro on the tackle.
Well, this is interesting right here with 3rd down. And based on what happens here on this play as to whether or not Jason Garrett is looking at this as 4-down territory.
Now Jonathan Goff is slow to get up. We'll take a break. Jimmy, thanks for your time this afternoon.
All right. Enjoyed it, guys.
All right. Jimmy Johnson from the studio will take a break as they look at Jonathan Goff.
Today's game is sponsored by Verizon Wireless, introducing the Droid X, the next generation of does.
A big play as Goff is now on the sideline. They continue to work on him. It's 3rd and 7. Kitna rolls to his right. Sets up downfield. Pass is picked off by Deion Grant. That is a killer interception thrown by John Kitna into very good coverage.
Yeah, it was good coverage, and Deion Grant was in great position, but yet you can understand what Kitna was thinking. I mean, when you've got the night that Dez Bryant is having, put it up high. He just didn't get it quite high enough, but if you put it up high and allow Dez Bryant a chance to go get it, I mean, that's a pretty good opportunity. That's a heck of a play right there by Deion Grant, being in front of Dez Bryant, shielding him off, and then catching the ball off the deflection for the interception.
That for Deion Grant, 3rd interception of the season. His 1st year with the Giants. And it's a 1st down for New York. Still 8.5 to go in a 13-point game. Out of the shotgun, Bailey over the middle. Manningham makes a catch. 1st down, 13 yards.
That was good work there by that offensive line, and Eli Manning, he's had to put the ball in some tight spaces today. You've got Andrews on DeMarcus Ware, and then he got help at the last minute, but Eli Manning is throwing some balls into some tight spaces in order to get some of these completions.
3rd 300-yard passing day of the season. He adds to it, gets another 1st down. Kevin Boss.
Kevin Boss, I know when we were talking with Kevin Gilbride for last week's game, he was saying, we just really haven't been able to get the ball into Boss's hands as much as we would like. Well, they've done a good job of that tonight.
That one good for 14 yards. Ahmad Bradshaw is pulled forward by Kevin Boss, who's really limping. A gain of 5. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Okay, Joe, here's what we've learned about the power situation. The main line or feeder that generates power to the stadium went out at that point. The second line kicked in, and then that one went out. Now we're back to the first power source. The lights took a while to come back on because they're halogen lights. They don't know why any of it happened.
Here's Nix for the touchdown. What a throw, what a catch. There's a flag down back at the 45.
Coming back. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
It's Kevin Booth, guilty of a hold. Erases a 48-yard touchdown pass to Nix.
Here's Kevin Booth in there at left guard. It's against Bowen. He makes a tackle right at the end after he got beat. And what a great job there by Hakeem Nix working against McCann. Yeah, they got the matchup they wanted. And Booth, he just got out of position with his feet, and that's generally when offensive linemen will hold. He didn't not only held, he tackled him.
Brings up second and 15 with 7:17 left. Giants have been penalized now 8 times. Play clock is winding down. Calhoun, the rookie, was late onto the field. Play clock is at 1. And a bad snap. Manning just able to get back on it. Now it's a loose football. And the Dallas Cowboys take over. There's a flag down on the field. On the far side of the field of the 40.
Illegal formation. Number 6 and 7 was not on the line of scrimmage. Penalty is declined. First down, Dallas.
So the sloppiness has continued, and that was from the Giants late out of the huddle and late up the line.
Well, it's 2 mistakes here. One, it's a bad snap by Rich Seibert, but then Eli Manning's got to just fall on this ball. He tried to pick it up and make a play. Now, he didn't realize that he had a Butler right there on his back, but that's a ball you've just got to fall on if you're Eli.
Let's go back to Kevin Booth. And he had his arm around the right leg of Bowen. Now from the 21 after the turnover. First down Dallas, and it's Felix Jones over the left side. Gain of 1. Let's go to Curtin for a game break.
Well, the Niners and Rams keep going back and forth. A big day for Troy Smith, more than 350 yards passing, including this 16-yard touchdown to Michael Crabtree to put San Fran on top, 20-17 inside 2-minute warning. Joe, Troy, Pam.
All right, Kurt, here we have 7 minutes left. Clock is running. Second down and 9. Big turnover by the Giants. We lead the NFC East. Here's Felix Jones. Handy on the stop. And the timeout is taken by the Giants. Here's the turnover by Manning and the Giants. Giants with 1 timeout remaining as they trail by 13. Jerry Jones making his first in-season head coaching change. Watching his Cowboys lead by 13 with 6.5 to go. 3rd and 8. Marion Barber. It'll be 4th down. With a field goal, it's still a 2-possession game, albeit 2-touchdown, 2-point conversion game, as the field goal unit will come on for Dallas.
No, that's a good job, though, by New York, at least holding Dallas to a field goal attempt. Dallas not, really kind of, I was surprised a little bit actually looking at this and saying, okay, we're going to be satisfied with a field goal, because as you said, Joe, a field goal only makes it a 16-point game. Yeah, you got to convert on, you got to score twice and then get 2 2-point conversions, but it still stays at a 2-possession game.
It'll be a 34-yard try, and Jason Garrett will use Dallas's first timeout this second half. Take a look ahead next week and what's coming up on Fox and the slate of games early. Packers and Vikings, Redskins and Titans, Lions, Cowboys, Cardinals, Chiefs. Then later on, Seahawks, Saints, Falcons, and Rams, Buccaneers at 49ers, who are leading late at home over St. Louis. That all starts with a Ford Fox NFL pregame show brought to you by the all-new Ford F-150, built Ford tough. It begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. One timeout left for the Giants. Beeler has been anything but automatic. He's 2 for 2 in this game, which makes him 11 of 14 for the year. He had an extra point tipped and missed early in this game. Here it is, and it's pushed wide right. And Beeler's up and down season continues.
It was a good snap, good hold. You called it, Joe. He just pushed it right.
34-yard try, and it's still a 13-point game. This has been one of the weirder days I would say that you and I have ever been together watching a football game. And so now the Giants, they're still alive, down by 13 points.
Yeah, still alive now. I mean, they still got to score 2 touchdowns, but they don't have to now convert two-point conversions. One timeout left, though. I mean, that's going to be a challenge for them. They've got to move fast. They got to pick up a lot of yardage. They need some big plays.
Kevin Boss, who was limping the last time the Giants had the ball. This could be a free play. Over the middle, pass is caught by Kevin Boss's replacement, Travis Beckham. Marcus Ware jumped across early, and seems like this one is on Dallas. Play should stand.
Offside. Number 94 defense. Penalties decline. Result of the play, first down.
11 yards and a first down to Beckham. And the clock will wind. Again, just one timeout remaining. And they're letting the Giants get all the way set up to the ball and now wind the clock. Manning comes underneath the Bradshaw, who takes it upfield and takes it into Dallas territory. Mont Bradshaw, good for 18.
You know, he does a nice job of catching the ball, Joe, but he turns back to the inside, and because of that, he then got away from the sideline. Had he have caught the ball and stayed outside with it, he could have probably picked up the same amount of yardage and then gotten out of bounds to stop the clock.
Manning pointing out protection at the line, gets rid of it and completes. Pass is caught by Manningham, good for 5 yards.
Eli Manning saw the blitz coming, hung in there, and got it out just in time with 3 rushers in his face.
And now Dallas has to take a timeout defensively, which is a break for the Giants with 4:42 left. They just put 2 more seconds up. It's 4:44 left on the game clock.
You know,
the 2 safeties are getting into it, Sensabaugh and Alan Ball.
Well, there was just some confusion there when Eli Manning, after that completion, went to the line and started to make a call.
Whoa.
You see Sensabaugh and
Newman. They went right at each other. And that little shoving match forced the Cowboys to take a timeout.
Yeah, and on the other side where I was looking, there was some confusion as well. I don't know what that was about right there, but I think that kind of tells a lot about this team and why they came into this game at 1-7.
Now Sensabaugh and Newman try and figure it out. With 4:44 left, that was a break for the Giants to get a timeout. 2nd and 5. Manning's in trouble. Ratliff can't bring him down. Pass is caught by Bradshaw, who stays on his feet and has a first down at the 28. How about Manning staying up as Ratliff couldn't bring him to the ground?
I think I saw that play, a little version of it, or a bigger version of it, in the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Good effort by Eli Manning, and the clock continues to run. Blitz coming. Here's Beckham. And Travis tried to get around the tackle, could not. Newman brings him down, a gain of just 3.
Now here's that previous play, and you're going to see Eli Manning under duress, and Jay Ratliff putting the pressure on him. Looked like he had him, and he keeps it alive. And it was also a nice job on the back end by Bradshaw breaking a tackle.
They hand it off to Jacobs. He takes it to the 20. But again, only one timeout remaining for New York as they trail by 13.
Yeah, you know, they've been able to move the ball, but they haven't gotten the big chunks, and they've had to throw it underneath, and they haven't been able to stop the clock, with the exception of Dallas calling that timeout.
Now it's 3rd and 2. And the pass is caught by Manningham for the first down. But the clock will continue to wind. A gain of 3.
They get the first down here. My guess is they're going to try to get something in the end zone, but they're playing right now basically, obviously, to get the touchdown, but it's going to be an onside kick situation if they do.
Because of having just the one timeout. Manning with time end zone. A lot of contact, no flag, and Tom Coughlin jumps off the sideline.
Yeah,
3 minutes left at 2nd and 10.
There was definitely contact, but this was a ball that the officials felt was uncatchable. You know, had Manningham have stayed up the field, which is what it looked like Eli Manning was anticipating, there would have been an opportunity, but he cut it short. And I don't think that Manningham would have had a chance at making that play.
There's the drive for Manning. 3 minutes left, 2nd and 10. Manning, corner of the end zone, incomplete for Manningham. He was brought down by Terrence Newman.
He had a good look at that one with Mario Manningham and a good route. And if Eli had just driven that ball and put it outside, you're going to see there's pretty good separation right there. You've got to drive that one to the pylon. And he makes that catch, and then Newman likely pushes him out of bounds about the 1 or the 2 yard line.
There's the day for Manningham, whose responsibilities were ratcheted up with the loss of Steve Smith. Out with a partially torn pec. It's 3rd and 10. Manning fires, and it's intercepted. Alan Ball. First of his career. And that should wrap up the first head coaching win for Jason Garrett. Only one timeout remaining, trailing by 13 points. And Alan Ball picks right now for his first career interception.
Well, they try to run that double move there to Manningham, and Alan Ball has seen that before. They scored on a touchdown on that play to Steve Smith going back to the last time these two teams met. Alan Ball is anticipating that. He drives on it. He's got the angle. It's just a nice play by Alan Ball.
And so now the Cowboys will keep it on the ground. Eli Manning will hang his head. Alan Ball will keep the souvenir, and the Dallas Cowboys, who came in 1-7, wondering what this weekend would bring. Hand it to Marion Barber, who right up the middle picks up a first down.
I know it'll be a lot easier week this week for Jason Garrett. You know, when you have some success, when you're implementing change, it's a lot easier than for the players, the ones that are kind of looking at it a little bit skeptical, to buy in and say, hey, maybe this stuff works.
The game clock is a little ahead of the play clock. So the Cowboys can let it wind all the way down to the 2-minute warning. They have a first down. And they will leave New Meadowlands Stadium 2-7. We're at the 2-minute warning. It's been a crazy day of football here in New Jersey. Cowboys lead it by 13, 2 minutes to go. Dallas Cowboys are 2 minutes away from their first win of the season. Marion Barber gets it, almost broke it. Brought down by Thomas, a gain of 6. And let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Another week in the NFL, another game going to overtime. Josh Brown with a 33-yarder for the Rams ties the game at 20 with San Francisco. They head to OT. Joe, Troy, Pam, that's the 13th overtime game already this season in the NFL. Time permitting, we'll take you to the finish.
All right, Kurt, thanks. Our football coverage doesn't end when the games are over. Afterward, we ask you to stick around for the OT. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Jimmy, and Michael bring you exclusive interviews, extended highlights, and a look ahead to next week's action. America's #1 post-game show, the OT, presented by Lowe's, coming up right after the game, only on Fox. 2nd down and 4. And movement by Doug Free.
Number 68, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Tom Coughlin and his Giants teams have historically gotten off to very good starts. First 8 games as he's in his 7th season. There's the record, and 8 games under the rest of the way. But you can look at those numbers. It's hard to compare year by year, and I would expect this Giants team to bounce right back. The kind of talent they have as Barber loses a yard.
Well, you would sure think so. I mean, this Giants team, or the Giant teams that have played under Tom Coughlin, as you said, have gotten off to great starts. But even when we were at their building on Friday, I know when visiting with Tom Coughlin, he was happy with the fact that they had gotten to this point in the season, but everyone knows this season's a long way from being over. And knowing that after going 5-0 last year and then finishing 8-8, it's still pretty fresh on everybody's minds. And they knew that coming into this game, it was going to be a tough one against Cowboys.
It's 3rd down and 10. And Barber gets it again. And that'll do it. Marion Barber brought down from behind with a 1st down. And Troy, no matter how you look at this game, it's a monumental upset by the Dallas Cowboys. And for everybody that wanted to handicap the chances of Jason Garrett taking the interim tag away and maintaining this job past this little 8-game test, well, I think the odds change. You can't overstate what one game means, but this is a big start for a guy who had the deck really stacked against him.
Well, coming into this game, Jerry Jones made it very clear when he announced that Jason Garrett was taking over as the interim head coach. He said, "I want to see tangible success." Well, it doesn't get more tangible than a win. And so you're right, Joe. This was a step in the right direction. And I think it validates for Jason Garrett all of the things that he was preaching this week.
Just the 2nd win of the year. Jason Garrett is 1 for 1. What a week it's been for him. Jason Garrett.
Well done.
Gets the well done message from Tom Coughlin. First interim head coach in Dallas Cowboys history on the road against a team that had won 5 straight with a backup quarterback. And he is standing by with Pam Oliver. Let's go down to Pam.
With Jason Garrett here, what helped propel your team to this convincing victory?
Oh, I think the guys accepted the challenge of where we were, and they worked really hard in practice this week, and they carried it to the ball game. It was a great challenge for us. It's an awfully good football team that we faced today. They have good players, and they're really, really well coached.
What was your message to the team? I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but what was your message?
Well, the thing that we emphasize more than anything else is trying to be great each and every day in everything that we do. And, you know, I told them on Wednesday that we just need to be great on Wednesday. Let's see if we can be great on Wednesday, and let's try to be great on Thursday. If we keep doing that, we'll stack some good days together and give ourselves a chance to be good on Sunday.
Wade Phillips, you described him as a mentor. If he's watching this, what would your thoughts be to him?
Well, my comments would be to say thank you. Say thank you. He's really a special guy, and anybody who's ever been around Coach Phillips as a player, as a coach, in any organization over the course of his 34 years in this league understands what I'm talking about. I was really fortunate to work for him for 3.5 years, and I learned so much from him on a daily basis. He's really a special guy.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.
All right, thanks.
Back to you, Joe.
44-year-old interim head coach Jason Garrett winning here at New Meadowlands Stadium. 33-20 over the Giants. We'll be back after this.